I just want to make a little video on sexing Oscars for you. As a baby like this, you will not be able to sex them. You could assume that the males are going to grow faster and are going to be have a more predominant personality, but I really just don't know if I believe that. As they get larger, you'll see that the males do get longer dorsal fins, so the top fin will well and truly overlap the tail, and that's the same with the anal fin. And you find that the males are much more oval shaped, and they've got a more predominant head, and they're a more substantial and imposing fish, whereas the female is a bit rounder in the body, and the female tends to have shorter unpaired fins. So the dorsal fin will often not overlap the tail, and the same with the anal fin. But the ultimate way of sexing them is by turning them upside down, which I don't really recommend. And so then you've got the anus, and then you've got the vent hole. If the anus and the vent are a similar size, and often looks like a little triangle, the vent, it's more likely to be a male. If it's a female, and particularly if she has bred already, then the female's vent hole will be much larger than the anus. The anus will be small, and the vent hole will be much larger. But because Oscars are a very, very feisty fish, I wouldn't recommend vent sexing them unless you had to. The best thing to do is get a whole bunch of Oscars, about 6 or so, as babies, and let them pair themselves up in the aquarium, so they're choosing their own mates, because once they do choose a mate, they will pretty much stick together. They're not like an African cichlid that is just going to breed with everyone necessarily. Then when they do breed, once you do have yourself a pair, you'll find that they'll barricade off a territory. There'll be a lot of display going, a lot of fin slapping, and a lot of mouthing each other, a lot of tail slapping. Then they will clear a hard surface where the female will lay the eggs, and then they'll dig a pit which they'll put the babies in once the babies have hatched. And it's a very, very interesting to watch, because they are very visible, and they really do put on a display when they're breeding. But they are just a magnificent fish. They grow extremely fast. I am very anti-feeding them too much bloodworm, I don't believe in feeding them mammalian products like ox heart or anything like that. I just think the best thing to feed them is Spectrum, because it's clean, it's healthy, it's full of vitamins. In the wild they have a very varied diet. They'll eat crustaceans, they'll eat snails, they'll eat small fish. And they often do what's called flip-flop, which is lay on the bottom of the tank on the side. Now that's usually only if they're having trouble digesting their food. This used to be quite common when people were feeding them a lot of ox heart, but I really don't recommend that at all. And I find when you feed them the correct food, they don't tend to do flip-flop. So very fast-growing fish, eats a lot of food, make sure you got lots of filtration. And these things really are like keeping a dog in a fish tank. They are wonderful fish. They are the ultimate pet fish. They'll often follow your fingers, jump out of the water to eat food out of your hand. They are wonderful fish. Just make sure they've got plenty of room, at least 200 litres plus. Well worth it. An addition to the family, these things are.